All right, here we go. Here's our first try with doing a recording and uploading it to YouTube. So let's look at the game of the week. Week 7. That was crazy. We had a lot of wins. We had Devin beating Rich coming down to the wire. I paid more attention to that game than I did to mine, mainly because I trounced Graham. But uh, I beat him like I was a Dallas Cowboys beating up on the Eagles. Let's just put it that way. That sucked. But so anyway, had some good games there. We had the Bills collector taking out Derek. So that was pretty sweet. Um, Jason Calder had to like that one. But it was especially nice to watch New England score all those points on the Jets and Tom Brady getting none of them. And also Sam Darnold finishing with minus 11 points on my bench. That's the lowest fantasy score I've ever seen since Devin had a defensive lineman miss an extra point kicker when it was a minus 10 on his thing, and that also benefited me. So that's a big win. But week 7's over. Let's get into week 8. And sorry, I'll just put that there, and we'll get into week 8, and here we go. So we got the Bibs of the Gridiron game of the week is going to be the Chub Chub Train versus Beach Failboat. I haven't done Devin's team yet, so we might as well throw it in there. I think that just leaves Jason Calder last. So next week we'll do Jason Calder's team as the Bibs game of the week. So what do we got? Quarterback matchup. This could have been really intriguing. It could have been last year's MVP versus this year's MVP candidate, but instead it's going to be this year's MVP candidate against Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been really good the last 3 or 4 weeks. Russell Wilson's been really good all year, but had a down week last week. Luckily for Devin, he didn't need it. But I'm going to give the edge there to Russell Wilson. I think everybody would agree. They're not saying that Kirk Cousins couldn't put up a huge week. He did, and he could win that matchup. But if I'm looking at it, Russell Wilson versus Atlanta, you just can't beat that matchup. Running backs is going to be a little different this time because Devin's only going to roll one out probably. He's going to roll out Nick Chubb against New England. That's a tough matchup. New England's been shutting everybody down this year. So Chubb, if anybody can do it, Chubb can do it. But that's going to be one tough matchup. So over on the other side right now, you got Raheem Mostert in the starting lineup. He's not going to do much. You got Kenyon Drake for Miami against Pittsburgh. Maybe they need to dump it off a lot because Ryan Fitzpatrick's running for his life, so he could be okay. But that Pittsburgh defense, whew, that's fast. But you got Leonard Fournette against the New York Jets. So I'm going to look at it this way. It's from a running back perspective, it's going to be Leonard Fournette against the Jets versus Chubb against the Patriots. I'll take Leonard Fournette in that matchup. Wide receivers where Devin's going to make his money this matchup. He's got Nick Hopkins, who scored a touchdown last week. So Nook's back on track, hopefully. Excuse me. Still getting over the Black Plague. He's also got T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton's going against Denver. That's a really tough matchup. I don't know if Chris Harris will be fast enough to shadow T.Y., but who else? But Chris Harris has been shutting everybody down, so hopefully the Eagles trade for him. But until then, he's going to be covering T.Y. Hilton this week, and that's not an easy matchup for him. Geronimo, he's in Devin's lineup. Going against Kansas City, so you never know. But he didn't do much last week. But another week to get healthy. Sunday nighter. Aaron Rodgers coming off a real big week, so could be good. And you get DJ Chark. Who would have thought that DJ Chark would have been this good all year? DJ Chark going against the Jets. That's a really good matchup for them. So that DJ Chark should be good this week. And on the other side. Right now you're looking at not having Adam Thielen, who's been really good for Yip the last couple of weeks. So he's more than likely going to have to roll some guys off his bench. If Sammy Watkins is healthy, do you play him against Green Bay? They're not as good as they were against the Pats. No Patrick Mahomes, so maybe you don't play Sammy Watkins. Philip Dorsett's back, and he caught a touchdown last week. So I feel like he's probably going to get Denzel Ward, but Dorsett's been real good this year, so if anybody can get him the ball, it's Tom Terrific. And then you got Tyrell Williams, who's got a sore shin, so he may or may not play. And MVS for Green Bay, so he caught two passes for 130 yards last week, so he can do it. Going to Kansas City, and they may have to score points to get that one in. So As far as wide receivers go, I give that advantage to Devin. So Devin's got quarterbacks and wide receivers so far. Tight end, I'm going to have to give the advantage to Yip, but it's going to end up being a wash. Tyler Higbee's the number 2 tight end for LA. He's going against Cincinnati. That's a good matchup. He could catch a touchdown. And then on the other side, Devin's got nobody. He's got Mark Andrews on his bye. And he's got nobody on his bench. So he'll be looking at one of the top waiver pickups, like Kyle Rudolph maybe. Maybe Dallas Goedert, somebody like that. Pick up off the waiver wire. Who knows? But it won't be Mark Andrews, that's for sure. And Mark needed a week off after dropping all those passes last week in Baltimore. But so tight end's going to be a wash. Kicker's a fun one because it's the same game. I always like when that happens. So you got Zane Gonzalez, who's been doing real well for Arizona this year, versus Will Lutz. Obviously, Lutz gets the advantage because if New Orleans can score 36 points on the Bears, who knows how many they'll put up on Arizona. So Lutz gets that advantage. Defensive line's going to be real fun because it's Danielle Hunter against Washington, and Washington sucks, against Aaron Donald, who might just crush everything Cincinnati this week. Aaron Donald might need to be the only man rushing the passer. I don't think any of those 5 guys on Cincinnati's O-line can block anybody. So that one I'll say Aaron Donald because I can't wait to watch him destroy that O-line and crush the Red Rocket. So you got a linebacker, you got a couple options for Devin. You got Bobby Wagner for Seattle, and you got his favorite waiver pickup of the year, Shaq Barrett. Barrett was probably going to be Defensive Player of the Year till Devin got hold of him. So you got him versus Anthony Barr. So it's 2 pass rushers. Who gets there first? I'm going to go with Barr. Probably beats them, but who knows what Devin's going to do at linebacker. If he puts Wagner back in, I give him the advantage. If he keeps Wagner out, I'll give the advantage to Yep. But doesn't make up for the advantage Devin has at defensive back because Landon Collins is an all-pro, and whatever the hell the guy's name is for Green Bay, T. Williams, I can't remember his first name, Traymon maybe, he's 1,000 years old, and he's going to be trying to catch up to Dunta Robinson or Tyreek Hill or McCall Hardman, and it's just not going to happen. So he might get some tackles, but Landon Collins is a lot better pick there. So that being said, looking at the matchup, I think this one is going to be a win for Devin. Right now, they're saying it's a 40-point difference. So I don't think he's going to win by 40, but it's very possible. Looking at the second game this week, you got the commissioner, Derek, against the guy who pretends he's commissioner, me. So that should be a good matchup. We've played a bunch of times in the past. Doesn't matter who's got the better team. It always ends up close. Who are the key players? Key players for me are going to be Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon versus Chicago. He hasn't done much this year. He fumbled on the 1-yard line last week, but maybe it's a get right game for Melvin. Chicago hasn't been stopping the run lately, so here's hoping. But still a tough matchup. The other key for me is going to be Chris Carson. Chris Carson versus Atlanta should be a great matchup. Chris Carson should put up a bunch of points. He's getting a lot of touches, so that's good news for me. For Derek, let's look at Derek's team. I got T.J. Hawkinson. Should have about 7 or 8 touchdowns this year. I think he's got 1 or 2. He's dropped a lot, but playing against New York Giants, anything can happen, so he could catch 3 or 4 this game. So TJ is going to be a big key for Derek. And the other key is going to be Saquon. I mean, another week back from freakishly healing himself from a high ankle sprain. Amazing. So Saquon could score a bundle. The key positional matchup, we're going to go with quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson has been the little engine that could for my team. If he does well, we do well. If he doesn't do well, then hopefully we do well, but we'll see. And Tom Brady against Cleveland. Cleveland's coming off a bye week, but Tom Brady's Tom Brady. So could have put up 1,000,000 points last night, but they ran them all in. And so, yeah, we'll go with Tom Brady for Derek. Obviously, I'm picking me to win. I mean, I'd never pick Derek, ever, unless I was trying to jinx him. But I only do that to Han. So I'm going to pick me to win that one. let's look at the other Bulliver. So Drew's playing Danny, why not? And I gave it to Danny pretty good at the beginning of the season, but then when he got every single quarterback in the world hurt in that 1 week, I kind of laid off him a little bit. But he goes against Drew this week, so Danny wants to crawl out of last place, and Drew wants to keep hold of his playoff position. So big game for these guys. Key players are going to be Julio Jones for Drew, Matt Schaub throwing him the ball. How does Julio Jones do? Usually in the backup quarterback comes in, he lets his playmakers make plays. So I think Julio Jones is going to be key. And the other key is going to be Allen Robinson. So Allen Robinson's the only guy in Chicago who's catching 8 passes. So that should be a great matchup. Chargers aren't scary, but he's going to get Casey Hayward. So, but Allen Robinson seems to be back to 2015 Allen Robinson. So here's hoping for Drew's sake he keeps it going. Now for Danny, the keys are going to be Tyler Lockett. So when Danny kept Tyler Lockett, we probably all were thinking, who keeps Tyler Lockett? But Danny does, and Tyler is the number 7 overall this year. He's great. What can I say? He's a good player. So he's going up against Atlanta. There's nobody there that can guard those guys. And the other key is going to be Stephon Diggs. So we all thought, what a fool for trading for Stephon Diggs. And when I say we all, I mean, me. But I didn't think Stephon Diggs was somebody we want to touch with a 10-foot pole. But then Danny traded for him, and since then he's got double digits both weeks. He's going in this week against Washington, who sucks, and he's going to score. He's going to score good points because who else are they going to throw to? Thielen's hurt. So Stephon Diggs is big for him. The key matchup this week in this matchup is probably going to end up being quarterbacks. Danny's got Gardner Minshew, who's doing a great job for him. He's, for anybody who doesn't know, Gardner Minshew, who I don't actually call by his real name barely at all. His grandfather, I heard this on a podcast, his grandfather wanted to name him Beowulf. So he's been doing great for Danny. He's been doing good. He's good for the NFL. He's rocking that funny red suit and looking like Uncle Rico or whatever the hell his name is from that movie with Nick Foles. But and the other side, the other quarterback matchup is going to be Cam Newton. So it's a bold move, starting a guy who's not playing this week, but if anybody can pull it off, it's Drew, because he's a 15-year-old who owned me in week 1. So I guess he's going to pick somebody up on the waiver wire, but we'll see. So who am I going to pick to win this one? I'm going to pick Drew to win this one, just for the simple fact that I don't think he's going to start Cam Newton. But man, this is a close one. This one could go either way. But you make your bed, you lay in it. So far I got Devin, David, and Drew. You got any D's in this game? You got Graham versus Dan. Oh, who am I going to pick this time? So Graham, fresh off a loss to me, and lost his number 1 quarterback. So second time this year he's lost his number 1 quarterback. Lost Andrew Luck right before the draft. Lost Matt Ryan for at least a week. So he's rolling out Old Man Rivers. So that's one of his key players. Phillip Rivers versus Chicago. Chicago's not that scary on defense anymore, but Phillip Rivers, not that good either. So it'll be interesting. Graham's got a great team lined up for him this week, so here's hoping. Corey Davis, probably making his first, I don't know how many years I've been writing these things, but Corey Davis probably making his first appearance. He was good last week for Ryan Tannehill, so he's going up against Tampa Bay, who sucks, so he could have, but he's key. If Corey Davis has a good week, Graham's going to score some points. Over on the other side of the ball, you get Terry McLaurin coming back into the fold after a tough week last week in the swamp that was Washington. He's going against Minnesota. Minnesota used to be a good matchup, guys you didn't want to play your guys against, but Xavier Rhodes looking old and slow. Probably the guy the Eagles are going to trade for, because that's who we need, someone else who's slow. And then Darren Waller. So I tried to trade for Darren Waller last week. Dan told me not yet. Then he scored 26 points, so I'm probably not getting him cheap. But and I might not get him at all, because Darren Waller's rolled out for Dan this week over Hunter Henry. So if Tyrell Williams doesn't play, look out for Darren Waller. So the key matchup, obviously, in this one is going to be Christian McCaffrey against San Francisco versus Alvin Kamara against Arizona. Two of the top 3 or 4 running backs in the league. One against one of the toughest defenses in the league, and the other one against one of the worst. So if Kamara plays, then I would say that the advantage on that matchup is going to go to Dan. But CMC is the only guy who seems to be on offense, it seems like, in Carolina, until he's not. But CMC, yeah. So I think in this one, it's going to be a tough matchup. NFL.com says that Graham's going to win. I'm gonna agree with him. I'm gonna say that Graham. I'm not sure if Kamara's going to play. Where they got a bye week coming up soon, so I think Graham's going to pull this one out because CMC is back. I do not think Carolina will beat San Francisco, but we'll see. So next matchup, buddy did me a favor. Maybe he can do me another one this week. I've picked Calder a lot this year, and it hasn't helped me. But then, just like Jim Carrey coming over the hill in Dumb and Dumber on the scooter, he goes and beats Deke last week and totally redeems himself. So, Jason Calder versus Matty Handsome. It's hard to say that without blushing because, who's seen that hair? But key players for Jason Calder are going to be Cooper Kupp. He's got to get back on track. He's at a down week. Cincinnati is the perfect. Cincinnati with no Drake or Kirkpatrick is the perfect thing to get back on track for. So Cooper Kupp could have a big week this week. And number 2 key player is John Brown against the Eagles because the Eagles suck at covering. I don't think they I'm not sure they know they need to, but they suck at covering wide receivers. So John Brown could have a big day against the Eagles defense, and yeah, for Matty Ice, the key player is going to be Keenan Allen against Chicago. Keenan started out red hot, and he's been cold lately, but he's still getting the ball thrown to him a lot. So sooner or later, it's going to click. So Keenan Allen, and the other one's going to be David Johnson against New Orleans. New Orleans has got a real tough defense against the run, and David Johnson was apparently so beat up that he was never going to play last week, even though he was active and screwed up a whole bunch of people putting in Chase Edmonds. So David Johnson, he's key. So if he goes and can't go very much and doesn't get many points, then it's going to be tough for Matty Ice. But if he goes and he's back to normal, then we'll see. The key matchup's going to be the quarterback matchup. Jason's got 2 great quarterbacks this week. He's got Matt Stafford going against the New York Giants. They're terrible. And he's got Josh Allen going against the Eagles, and their defense is terrible. So, who do you want to put in? They're both going to score well. Against Aaron Rodgers, who calmly put up 56 points last week and goes against Kansas City this Sunday night. So, big statement game for Green Bay. If they can stomp, even though it's not Mahomes, it's Matt Moore. But, big game for them. So, I'm actually going to pick Calder to, and every time I picked him, he's let me down. Even when he beat me, that was a big letdown too. But I'm going to pick Calder to win this week, and yeah, over the guy who just put himself in the elite. That's a smart move. Don't never say that I wasn't super smart. So Calder. So that gives me Devin. There's one game left, and it's my old buddy Jason versus Dick. So a couple weeks ago, I did that thing where I totally picked on Han, and I'd been planning it ever since the second he told me, pick me again and I'm going to lose my shit. So I picked him again. And then last week I did an experiment. I decided to pick against Han, thinking maybe I am a jinx. And sure enough, Han scored out of the most or the second most points in the league. And so, yeah. So, I'm picking Han this week, mainly because I find it more fun than anybody else. So I should probably look at the matchup, but it's interesting. So the key players for Han, are going to be Derrick Henry against Tampa Bay. He could be in tune for a big week. Tampa Bay defense is good, not great. So we'll see where he goes. He's been good every week, but no like big like last year. No big blowout weeks. But yeah, he's usually good around the goal line, and so yeah, Derrick Henry, and I'm going to go with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley, I'm talking a lot of Rams this week. Rams against Cincinnati is a good matchup for everybody. That probably means the Rams are going to shut him down, but the Bengals are going to shut him down. No one expects it to happen that way, but who knows? For Rich, I'm going to go, got to go with Dalvin Cook. He was a great first pick overall. He was on the runner-up team last year. He would have been on the winning team the year before, but he got hurt. But last year he was on the runner-up team, and they couldn't keep him. And you look back at the draft and you think Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, they were no-brainer top picks, and they were no-brainers for a reason. Those guys are in the top 5 running backs this year. So you got Dalvin against Washington. He might put up all of the fantasy points against them. And Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay's been great all year, and last week he had a down week when Rich could have needed him. If Kenny Galladay put up an average week last week, Rich would have taken Devin out, and he would have been sitting there 5-2 in second place and only one game out of the lead with the tiebreaker. So, instead he's back in the pack of the 4 and 3s, and he's still elite. He still puts up a ton of points. He just he happened to lose two in a row. So, he played Devin, who's undefeated, and he played some other super young superstar. I mean, I don't know who it was, but I kicked his butt. The key matchup this week for me in this matchup is quarterbacks, and it's a trend. It's quarterbacks score the most points in our league, so if you're looking for key positional matchups, they're usually good ones to look at. So you got Jared Goff against Baker Mayfield. Goff could throw up a stinker, or he could be great. Who knows which one's coming? And then you got Baker Mayfield going against New England. So interesting because Baker could wake up feeling dangerous and do really well. Sam Darnold probably should have stayed out with the mono. But Baker is not Sam Darnold. He is a much better quarterback. So there you go. I'm picking Han, just like I said. So recapping. Last week I went 2-4 because I picked when I was sick and I wasn't thinking straight. Didn't look at the matchups, just picked on a whim. Or at least that's what I'm going to tell you I did, because I did really poorly. But this week I'm picking Devin to beat Yip. I'm picking me, obviously, to beat Derek. I'm picking Drew to beat Danny. I'm picking Graham. Did I pick Graham? I can't remember. I think I picked Graham. I don't know. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and watch the tape. I picked Calder to beat Matty Ice, and I picked Han because it's fun. So there you have it. So this is the first time recording, posting this on YouTube. We'll see what you guys think. I mean, I guess this means I have to wash and shower once a week. That's not super fun, but hey, what are you going to do? It's easier than typing. So just remember, if women don't find you handsome, there's always fantasy.